Alright, let's see what all the hype with Bloodborne is about. What the? I bet you guys have never played this Bloodborne game before. This is Bloodborne PSX, a demake for Bloodborne that entirely remakes a game and gives it that classic 90s PS1 gaming charm. But don't you dare click off the video just because you heard that it's a remake, because that word is an understatement for how cool this fan game is. Because they added new areas, completely different progression in some parts, and even added an entirely new boss. Dude, what is going on? This wasn't in the base game. Who is Gilbert the Outsider, and why is he a giant wolf that insists on molesting me? And some other stuff you'll see later in this video. After completing this, I refuse to call it a demake. Bloodborne PSX is absolutely awesome, and an almost completely different experience from base Bloodborne. Oh, you don't believe me? Well, let me show you. As soon as you start up the game, you get this super retro and nostalgic startup screen. And once it gets past that, you get to the even more beautiful Bloodborne PSX main menu. You can see the hunter in the background in all his retro glory. There are a lot of options in the main menu, but when you head to the settings, ladies and gentlemen, this is what you have been asking for so long. Uncapped frame rate in Bloodborne. We can finally play with more than 30 FPS. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, not only can you now play Bloodborne on your PC even though it's in retro form, you can also play at 60 FPS. And once we optimize our settings, we decide to start the game and we get to the character creation menu. The character creation system doesn't have any big changes from Bloodborne, but it's just as fun to play with as any other character creation. Guys, look, it's literally red-haired Shanks. I've literally just made Shanks. Bloodborne PSX has the same classes as normal Bloodborne, so we just went with the troubled childhood, because of the good balance between vitality and skill. What the? That's not terrifying at all. Okay. What the? Dude, buy me a drink first. Holy crap, man. After that amazingly redone cutscene, we immediately get dropped in the game. And I was immediately confused because we couldn't move. But after trying some other buttons, I realized that the stick doesn't control our movement. The D-pad does. This is the first real show of just how much they commit to the PS1 bit in this demake. I was pretty surprised at the fact that they even made you use a PS1 control style, which forced you to completely relearn movement and how to even play the game. And that's just the beginning of the PS1 changes. This game really is what a 90s Bloodborne game would be, as you will see. But just like the base game, we encounter the werewolf in this room. And it's the first wake-up call that this will be nothing like normal Bloodborne, and how even a simple control change can completely throw all my previous experience to the side. Once we die for the first time, we get a glimpse at the beauty and charm the style can really hold in the hunter's dream. And faithful to normal Bloodborne, we pick our starting weapons here. Oh, dude, this is even like a PlayStation 2 type menu. Holy crap! What the? That is... Dude, that is so cool. This is absolutely awesome. I can't believe how committed to this. Every single detail is so thought out and made like a perfect old school PlayStation game. This was when I was absolutely shocked with this demake. I mean, the fact that they redesigned the entire menu to make it fit more in with the PS1 vibe. It really does bring me back to the days when I used to play PlayStation 2 all the time as a kid. For some reason, all of the PlayStation 2 menus were just these big 3D object menus, and the fact that they had completely overhauled this menu into such a cool and fitting but inspired and nostalgic style was just a small sign of how much love and care was put into this. As you will see later, every single aspect of this was looked over to make you feel like you really stepped into a time machine and played a 90s version of Bloodborne. We decide to go with the saw cleaver and the pistol, because considering how many weirdly wheelchair-ridden men are in Yharnam, they could probably use a cane more than me. An abandoned doll. Oh, she is not abandoned. That old man in there? Let's just say, she is used for things too valuable to him to just abandon her like that. I think in the lore, doesn't he use her for that thing that I don't want to say? Because I don't want to say it, let's just say he uses her as a doll. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. And we find yet another huge distinction between the original and the demake. In the original Bloodborne, you pick up a key and you don't need to do anything else, and you just get to use it whenever. But in the demake, you have to specifically equip the key, or it just won't unlock what you need it to. It may seem like a small way to bring things back to the PS1 days, but this ends up being a game changer when you need to unlock doors in emergencies, and it can completely get you killed in a lot of situations. The start of the game is mostly the same from Normieborn, until you get to the central Yharnam lamp. And look, they even have save slots instead of the normal auto-saving features of today. Man, I swear, this game never stops taking me by surprise. And then where you would normally go to get to the rest of the game is just gated off, until you talk to an old man behind a window.
Oh, you must be a hunter, and not one from around here either. You must have had a fine time of it. Yharnam has a special way of treating guests. Well, I don't think I could stand if I wanted to, but I'm willing to help if there's anything that can be done.
And as I start playing through this beginning part, I slowly start realizing that this is an entirely new area. I was completely lost and dumbfounded that they have made an entirely new area for this game. I thought this was just going to be a sick demake for Bloodborne, but of course, this team wasn't just going to stop there. They had to take another step and add a bunch of cool new areas. Eventually, we find an entrance to another area, and we have to go through this loading screen, which is another cute little PS1 detail thrown in. I'm literally running this on a computer that could run 70 instances of Crysis at once. There is no way my computer does not instantly load these areas, but it's okay, because it's a cute little feature that taps into that nostalgia, and also something that I totally didn't take advantage of later. And once we're done with the loading screen, we enter the area. And ladies and gentlemen, this is not from normal Bloodborne, at least I don't think. I'm pretty sure this is an entirely new area. Once again, they have gone out of their way and made a second new area. We spend quite a bit of time progressing through this area, but what really matters is at the end of it, we find our first insight. Yay! Working our way back from the first area, we encounter this wacky alley, where in the base Bloodborne, there would usually be a troll here, but this time, it's a fellow hunter. Once we kill him, we go behind him and we find some sweaty clothes. Kinda weird, but I'll take it. I head back to the hunter's dream, and now that we finally have insight, we see that the doll is up.
Hello, good hunter. I am a doll, here in this dream to look after you, honorable hunter.
And we level up our skill to 16, because as I remember, I'm pretty sure that's the closest thing to Dex in emo Dark Souls. And we head back to Central Yharnam to continue our PS1 escapades. And we find another thing that they added that just brings me back to the PS1 days. What do you mean the floor is gone? Where did it go? I repeat, where is the floor in my video game? This truly is a love letter to PS1 games. I can't even remember the last time I played a game where the floor just suddenly goes to on retirement. But it's okay, because I mean, at least I'm safe in the hunter's dream. And when we died, we spawned back in Central Yharnam, because it isn't even supposed to be possible to die in the hunter's dream. And now we are finally able to actually progress the game. After being stuck for a while, we eventually find this gate where we're able to open it, and it leads to a shortcut ladder. Near it is a bridge that leads to what is essentially the starting area in original Bloodborne. From here on out, you're gonna start recognizing a lot of things from original Bloodborne, and then let's just say things start getting wacky by the end. But even in the parts of this game that are similar to Bloodborne, there are still little surprises for people who have already played it to keep it fresh. Holy... what the... I did not want that to open... oh! That was terrifying. That does not happen in the original game. Holy crap. I eventually head over to the sewer area, which is past the cleric beast, and the overall layout is quite different from Normieborn. And ladies and gentlemen, we finally get the legendary set. Oh no, a werewolf. Stop! I thought I was... No! This is a point where I realized werewolves are just gonna be a huge problem. I mean, with the wacky control scheme that I was still getting used to and the fact that these are just huge scary enemies. They were just brutally pounding me whenever I encountered one. Just like how you should be brutally pounding that like and subscribe button. I drop weekly high-quality Soulsborne content, and we're on the road to 1,000 subs, and I would love to have you in for the ride. Yes, you specifically. After getting gutted by a werewolf, we had to do the craziest run back in the world. Like, seriously, we had to run back through the entire map. This demake is trash. Why would you even have such a bad run back? Oh, there was a lamp over here that we missed. Never mind. And we encounter yet another quirk of this game. For some reason, we just float up ladders. I don't even know why it happens, but it's really funny, so I'm fine with it. And after we float up the ladder, we find it leads to a shortcut. Yay, less walk back. And right in front of the shortcut, we find this little boy in this window, who gives us a music box and asks us to help him find his mom. We all know where this is going. After exploring the sewers more, we find an actually very familiar place from the original game. And we also find the craziest werewolf killing tech. But of course, that isn't the only werewolf in the place. This game used to use werewolves sparingly, but now they throw them at you every chance they can. At this point, I feel like I'm walking through a furry convention. But I don't have that familiarity of there being a bunch of fellow computer science students around. After almost dying to furry Diddy, I decide to go back to the sewers and explore the one part that I missed, which is full of poison water. I guess all the poisonous swamps in Dark Souls weren't enough, they just had to add them to Bloodborne too. Eventually we find a lantern in there, and we go back to level up Vitality, as if that's gonna stop us from getting touched. We go back to the poison sewers and we find a sewer key, and return back to the furry affinity place, where we go upstairs and we find this bird lady. Man, these furry jokes are becoming too real. It's not even just the werewolves.
Oh, a hunter, are you? And an outsider? What a mess you've been caught up in. And tonight of all nights, here, to welcome the new hunter.
Why does everyone talk about what's going on like it's some inconvenience? She literally said, "Quite the mess you got yourself into." Like, people are turning into monsters and trying to murder everyone. What do you mean I got myself into a mess? This is a whole apocalyptic event. Hello there, buddy. Man, the weather out there, it's pretty insane. Everybody's turning into monsters and everything. Pretty rough day. Right? Oh. Oh, you're awfully calm. I'm happy that we're able to have a normal conversation, buddy. But I don't think this is how this is supposed to work. I'm pretty sure you're supposed to be attacking me right now. Someone thinks they're a diplomat. Are you gonna put the gun down, buddy? You're gonna be like Thorfinn? Gonna have no enemies? I then decide to stop screwing around and go to kill the cleric beast, but I die on the way in, and my corpse walks in for some reason. The cleric beast was honestly pretty easy. I feel like they purposefully made it easier because the control scheme for this absolutely sucks. Okay, what was that? Is he choking? Okay, you're just hurting my ears. Is your final ability giving me tinnitus? Like, what is that, bro? After destroying the cleric beast, we level our skill up some more, and went into a brand new area of the game, the Direlict Estate. Well, it's more of a redesign with some new aspects. Some of it existed in Baseborn, and some of it didn't, or has been made into an indoor section. But I don't find much going on with the Direlict Estate initially, so I go and get ready for the Father Gascoigne fight. For anyone that hasn't played Bloodborne, it's the father of that kid that we talked to in the window. We head back to the Hunter's Dream and switch to the Cane, because it works better with our build. And we level it up as much as we can, but on the way to Father Gascoigne, we find a basement in the Direlict Estate. Looks like there's a lot of, fun special time going on down here. Oh, what? It looks like it was a special time of the month. What's all this blood, man? I didn't think this could happen to a guy. In the basement, we find decapitated dogs and birds. Is that why you hung up all these birds? Oh. That's actually kind of cool. That That would probably scare a lot of people. And later, we find dogs with bird heads and birds with dog heads. This area was so cool and played into the fear factor of this so well. I also thought the jump scares with some of the chopped off heads snapping at you was pretty cool. But honestly, there isn't a whole lot else to this area. So we finally leave to fight Father Gascon. Father Gascon was very difficult. It was our first point where we really struggled. I'm glad we had a legitimate challenge in here. I was afraid they were just going to water down every boss because of the new controls, but Father Gascon was absolutely destroying me. So much so that I had to start taking advantage of this piece of terrain. Had to hit him with a good old ring around the rosy, and wait for him to turn the corner so I could charge an attack and follow up with a pocket full of posies. After dying to Father Gascon a few times, we finally learned enough, and with skill and precision, never mind. I guess we just spammed Molotov cocktails at him. That also works. And soon after beating him, a cutscene plays, and a message pops up. The night grows darker. We find the kid's mother's brooch in the boss room, but once you start heading back to him, you notice that something's wrong. Things are abnormally quiet. All of your lamps are for some reason deactivated, except for the one at Father Gascon. But that's no problem. We just have to get there on foot. But once we start going back, we start noticing little things. The bridge we came on here is completely blocked with boulders, and our only way down is a small ladder, which is annoying because now we have to fight that huge boar that was blocking our Seeing that huge boar's corpse on the roof was a moment of pure terror. The areas has suddenly been lacking the life and the enemies it previously had. Although the enemies weren't on your side and were always trying to kill you, you got used to it, and it wasn't scary, and it eventually became the norm, and it almost provided you a sense of comfort. But now that those horrors have been put down like a dog, you must raise the question: who killed them, and what killed them? And most of all, who's the real hunter, and who's the prey? Ladies and gentlemen, from this point on is where the real hunt begins. Once we get out of the place with the boar, the feeling of loneliness is still looming, but now we hear a song in the distance. Once I get closer, we see a horrifying beast that is completely unkillable and will slowly murder you as long as you're in its line of sight. But it's okay, because all you have to do is go to another area. I mean, no enemies can follow you to another area. He's here. Yeah, I don't know if something like this happens in Baseborn, but if it doesn't, and this is completely added by the mod team, hats off. Being completely alone and suddenly having a creature in the distance singing that you can't kill and can follow you to other areas is genius. And also, it's another mark of nostalgia for the original PlayStation legacy, because I mean, this guy is obviously inspired by Mr. X from Resident Evil 2. But the best way to put fear is to fill the player with expectations and make them comfortable, and suddenly rip them all away from them at once. Suddenly we can't kill this enemy. We can't just get out of the way of it. We can't just run away from it. This kind of enemy instills terror in you, and since all the rules you comfortably relied on were thrown off a cliff, you're now as green as the second you press the start game button. And also, the PS1 style just adds on to this horror in such a vibey way. And on top of all this, it forces you to face it all head on by removing fast travel completely. Once we get to the sewer area, we run to the shortcut ladder and take the route through the Cleric Beast area and run straight through the Direlict estate to get to the normal central Yharnam lamp. But now this door is open. Upon walking in, we find a completely new area. This is Gilbert's estate. Apparently he's someone big in the canonical Bloodborne lore, but I don't know, I didn't play that shit. I really liked Gilbert's estate because, shout out to the devs of this, but I gotta be honest, this was utter and absolute dog shit. There were a bunch of rooms in an outdoor area, but you just had to do this clanky parkour to get the key to get to the final boss. This was super anticlimactic. Most of the rooms didn't even get used. I mean, it was so anticlimactic, I felt like I did it wrong. So if I did, go in the comments and call me an idiot right now. I must atone. But either way, I love you, LW Media, and I hope we don't have beef for me calling your area terrible. I loved the rest of this. But once we do the janky parkour jump, we're able to get to the second floor with the key, and we're able to get to the fight. Oh no, he's a bedridden wolf. Will I be ableist if I attack this guy? Gilbert was absolute aura. He was a pretty cool and difficult boss fight that took some real learning to handle. And honestly, he was tearing at my pussy with those claws of his so bad that I realized it's probably a good idea to go and gear up. I had no bullets or heals at this point. I mean, I literally had no parry potential. I don't know what I was expecting to do to the furry man. So using the fact that going into each area resets enemies like the lamps, I walk in and out of this area to farm this poor crippled guy with a gun for bullets. Man, I'm gonna have a real hard time dodging ableist allegations after repeatedly beating up a wheelchair-ridden man. And I also farm this troll outside the estate for blood vials. I go back in and out and get molested by Gabriel a few times and get pretty annoyed because I need to go back and grind for bullets and heals once again to even have a chance against Gilbert. But then I realize I only need to farm for my materials once because of the nature of this demake. Now I'm sure you're confused, but unlike normal Bloodborne, Bloodborne PSX has save slots. So technically all I would have to do is to save with max materials and just reload the save every time I die to Gilbert. But I wasn't sure it would work, so I go and farm and then save. And once I die to Gilbert again, it works. Now I get to go into the boss fight every time with max everything. And once we have that advantage, it only takes a few tries to put that dog down. Because this guy has the most telegraphed attacks in the world, so it's pretty much the easiest thing in the world to just constantly stagger him. The boss fight just ends up being you standing still, waiting for him to make a move to shoot him like an old western standoff. But after we figure it out, we finally kill Gilbert. And with Gilbert dead, we move on to the end of Bloodborne PSX. Man, this game was so unbelievably cool. I can't believe the amount of times that they went above and beyond just making it a demake, and they just made something entirely new out of it, some parts. And added on, just the demake parts were so well done as it is. Like, this is just proof that the Soulsborne community, they're just the best. You really don't see other communities out here doing stuff like this. But anyways, I'll have the link to this in the description. Please check it out. Please, 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 please check it out. That would be absolutely awesome. And I hope you guys enjoyed this first weekly video. I upload weekly content, so if you haven't already, leave a like and subscribe. And also, I'll have my Twitter on the screen right now. For a future video, I plan on looking at my viewers' Elden Ring builds, so make sure that you're following me on Twitter so you can know when submissions are happening, because any updates or anything that I'll give on my channel or on any content, if you have a chance to be featured, that's all gonna be on my Twitter. So I really suggest that you follow me there, and especially because I'm gonna have a lot of cool other stuff going on there. But yeah, go over there and you have a chance to be featured in one of my next videos. And expect weekly content from now on, ladies and gentlemen. Road to 1,000. Road to 1,000 subscribers, ladies and gentlemen. Share with your friends, share wherever, and make sure to leave a like and subscribe, because I appreciate everyone so much. And make sure to leave a comment. I respond to every comment. Well, not respond to every comment. Some comments are just like, alright, what do I respond to this with? But I look at every comment, and I read every comment. So make sure to leave a comment. Bye, guys. Grrr. Click the video or else.